Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to distill Stephen R. Covey's foundational masterpiece into the absolute essential framework you need for personal evolution. We're capturing the core here, those natural laws of human growth that actually govern true, lasting effectiveness.
Here's our roadmap. 1. The inside-out paradigm shift. 2. Private victory, master yourself. 3. Public victory, master relationships. And finally, 4. Renewal, sharpen the saw.
Look, this isn't just some run-of-the-mill self-help guide. It's a literal global phenomenon that has helped millions of people transition from dependence to true interdependence. We're talking about a highly structured approach to not just succeeding on the surface, but fundamentally changing who you are at your very core.
Section 1. The inside-out paradigm shift.
Okay, before we even touch the habits themselves, we really need to completely reset how we view our problems. Think about the stark contrast between superficial Band-Aid solutions and deep, principle-centered roots. For decades, right, so much of our success literature has focused on what Covey calls the personality ethic. Quick fixes, communication tricks, curating your public image. But true success, that actually comes from the character ethic. You can't just hack at the leaves of your attitude and behavior. You've got to work on the roots. We're talking about things like integrity, humility, and patience.
To actually change our character, we have to change our paradigms. Think of a paradigm as your mental map. Imagine you're trying to navigate Chicago, but you were accidentally given a mislabeled map of Detroit. Well, walking faster or having a super positive attitude isn't going to help you, is it? You're just going to get lost faster. The fundamental problem has absolutely nothing to do with your behavior or your attitude. It has everything to do with having the wrong map entirely.
So the crucial takeaway here is that to change our circumstances, we must first change ourselves and those underlying paradigms. We have to realize that our own lens shapes how we interpret the world. We don't actually see objective reality. We see a subjective reality that is heavily influenced by our own conditioning. In other words, we see the world not as it is, but as we are.
To be truly effective, we've got to align these internal maps with unchanging lighthouse principles, things like fairness, integrity, and human dignity. You literally cannot break these natural laws, you can only break yourself against them. True effectiveness is built from the inside out by aligning our deep-seated paradigms with these unbreakable principles.
Section 2. Private victory. Master yourself.
All right, this is our first major phase of growth. These first 3 habits are a chunked, step-by-step sequence perfectly designed to move you from dependence to true independence. Because here's the thing, you absolutely cannot achieve public success with other people until you have achieved private success within yourself.
Habit 1 is be proactive. This essentially means you are the programmer of your life. Between any stimulus and your response, you have the ultimate freedom to choose. Highly effective people don't blame their circumstances, their conditions, or their conditioning for how they behave. Instead of worrying about all the things they can't control, they focus their energy entirely on their circle of influence, the things they can actually do something about.
Which brings us to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. So if you're the programmer from habit 1, habit 2 is you writing the actual program. It's all about starting with a crystal clear understanding of your ultimate destination. You do this by developing a personal mission statement. It's like a personal constitution based on correct principles that serves as the ultimate benchmark to measure everything else in your life against. Now, to actually run that program, habit 3 requires us to put first things first. In the time management matrix, effective people focus intensely on quadrant 2. These are the important but not urgent tasks. This is where the magic happens: long-range planning, building relationships, and preventive maintenance. Without a burning yes inside you that comes from habit 2, you're never going to have the discipline to say no to the urgent but completely unimportant distractions of quadrants 3 and 4.
So, you've built an independent character through these private victories. Great. But now we have to ask ourselves, how do we transcend our personal limits? How do we actually work effectively with all the people around us?
Section 3. Public victory. Master relationships.
This next phase builds our capacity to collaborate and achieve true, effective interdependence. These 3 habits rely heavily on making constant deposits into what Covey calls an emotional bank account. Just like a regular financial account, you make deposits through understanding others, keeping your promises, and clarifying expectations. Doing this builds a massive, resilient reserve of trust.
Habit 4 is Think win-win. And listen, this isn't just some neat negotiation technique. It's a total paradigm of human interaction. You have to approach your interactions with an abundance mentality, this deep belief that there is plenty out there for everybody. You are always aiming for mutual benefit rather than a zero-sum win-lose transaction. And honestly, if you can't find a solution that genuinely benefits both parties, you must be willing to walk away and say, no deal.
Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Think about it. Most people listen with the sole intent to reply, right? They're just projecting their own autobiography onto whoever is speaking. But as Covey says, to touch the soul of another human being is to walk on holy ground. This habit requires us to completely put aside our own egos. We need to listen empathetically, really sensing the other person's heart and their paradigm, before we ever attempt to prescribe a solution.
Then we hit Habit 6, synergize. By combining those win-win motives of Habit 4 with the empathetic listening of Habit 5, we achieve true synergy. This is where 1 + 1 magically equals 3, or even more. We actively value the differences in other people to create miraculous new third alternatives that simply did not exist before.
Section 4. Renewal, sharpen the saw.
Finally, we reach the maintenance phase. This is the habit that circles around and makes all the other 6 habits possible. The P/PC balance. Remember Aesop's fable of the goose and the golden egg? Well, if you only ever focus on P, the production, those golden eggs, and you completely neglect PC, your production capacity, the poor goose, you are inevitably going to burn out. You'll lose your greatest asset, the very thing that produces the results in the first place.
So sharpening the saw means dedicating at least 1 hour a day to a daily private victory across the 4 vital dimensions of your life. Physically, by eating right and exercising. Spiritually, by committing to your values. Mentally, by reading and planning. And socially and emotionally, through service and empathic communication. This balanced, deliberate renewal creates an amazing upward spiral of continuous growth.
So, as you step back and look at your own life right now, ask yourself this. Are you just hacking away the superficial leaves of your daily problems? Or are you striking at the root by actively developing your fundamental character? True effectiveness is and always will be an inside-out process. It takes time, it takes a lot of patience, and it absolutely requires correct principles. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to In 8 Minutes and never miss what matters.